Yeah, I'll let you get into it, Bull, but first, March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's going to cut down the net. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them up with spreads, totals, and game props. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and get in on college hoop action all tournament long.
All right, Anthony, so Field Yates put out his latest mock draft this morning. I love Field Yates. He's great, really good dude. And he put out his mock draft. I think we have a graphic. Here we go. So he has Abdul Carter, and everybody, it's trending towards Abdul Carter. Enough! Mercy! The Browns cannot draft Abdul Carter just because every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they're an NFL expert says, well, this guy's going to be great. First of all, I don't know if he's going to be great or not, Dustin. I don't know if he's going to be great or not.
Listen, every linebacker at Penn State wears number 11 is awesome. So I'm sure he's going to be great. But guess what? The Browns aren't going to win any more games because of this guy.
They're not going to. This is it. You turn a franchise around with a quarterback. But no, it's a reach for Shadeur. How do you know? How do we know? How do you know it's a reach? I know this guy took a Jacksonville State program.
Jackson State.
Jackson State, sorry. Who the hell takes Jackson State anywhere? Anybody?
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter and,
and Shadeur Sanders.
Which
we're going to get to in a second.
Yeah. Jackson State. He made him a winner. Then he goes to Colorado.
1-11 year before.
1-11. Arguably the worst major Division I program in the country.
I did call one of their games the year before.
They were
1-11. They were the worst team. They were like Kent State bad.
Okay. Yeah. Kent State bad, for crying out loud. That's bad. For those who don't know, I think you do.
They know.
And then and Dion brought some good players with him. But for the most part, Shadeur and Travis Hunter are the only elite players on that offense, right? Correct. Some decent wide receivers besides them. No running game, no offensive line. All these other quarterbacks that you're talking about, they played at much better programs with much better talent around them. All this guy does, he makes smart decisions. He's accurate. He's intelligent. He's a hard worker. What are the negatives I'm hearing about this guy?
There's no negatives. I mean, I would say that he's a little slight in his build.
Yeah.
Like he's not the biggest guy in the world. So that's, I guess, a little bit of a concern. But, I mean, I don't know.
To me, that's a minor thing, Dustin. And, he doesn't have an elite arm. Okay, so what? You know who doesn't have an elite arm? Joe Burrow. He doesn't have an elite arm either. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. You don't have to have an elite arm. You got to be able to make the throws. He can make the throws. Is he going to be perfect on deep throws? No. That will be not the best part of his game. But he's a good, and I think, people say, well, he's not a great athlete. He's a perfectly fine athlete. Not every quarterback has to be Lamar Jackson or can be Lamar Jackson.
They're not.
Right?
He's a one of one.
That's right. So he's a perfectly fine athlete. He's going to be able to move in the pocket. He's going to be able to run when they need him to. He's not running a 5.2 out there. I mean, come on, let's not get crazy. And here's the thing, man. This guy has dealt with more pressure at that position than probably anybody. Maybe Arch Manning, I don't know. But like as much as any player we've seen, he handles it well. What have I heard? Todd McShay heard. Teams didn't think he was interested, or he comes off a little cocky. These 60 and 70-year-old scouts, they're out of touch. Young players are different now. Some of them are cocky, whatever. The kid seems like a very nice kid. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a good player. I'm not an expert. I'm not sure he's going to be great in the NFL. But what's the downside if you blow it is huge. If you miss on a defensive, let's say he becomes a great defensive lineman. So what? The Browns are not a good enough franchise that they're going to nail it in the draft all the time. The only thing that turns it around is a quarterback. And if you draft Sanders and he ends up sucking, then you draft another quarterback. Well, that's it to me.
I would say this much about Sanders. Like, from a standpoint of, I like him because he can turn a franchise around.
Yes.
Assuming he's going to continue to be a good player in the league, which I don't know why he wouldn't be. I mean, if he can do it in the Big 12 at a high level, which he did, without an offensive line and without a whole lot of weapons, as you pointed out, Adam, I think he'll be able to do it here. And it takes a special guy. It took Baker Mayfield was special. I thought he did a nice job with the Browns, kind of, getting the ship back in the right lane, with the organization. And that's what they need now from that position. They need someone to stabilize the organization. This guy was born to play in the NFL. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, his from day one out the womb.
Yeah.
This guy had, his dad's prime time.
Yeah.
And so he was pushed. And whether you like Deion or not, Deion's a hard ass worker. He doesn't really do it. He never like drank, smoked, did anything bad off the field, never got in trouble.
Never.
And his kids are all like they're in church more than they're either in their playbook or in church. I mean, so you can't have a team full of choir boys, but this dude's a really good guy.
Yeah.
He's confident and he can make plays. I'm interested.
If my quarterback's confident or even cocky, that's what I want. He's a quarterback.
Yes.
He's got to lead the
Yes.
team. You don't want it to be an irrational level of cockiness, but I don't think that's the case here.
No,
You're right.
no.
He's born to play football. Being the quarterback of the Browns is maybe more pressure than any other quarterback job because there's been so much losing.
Yeah.
And who is more equipped to handle that pressure than this guy?
No.
And for all we'll get a quarterback next year. You don't know that. What if there's only one good quarterback next year and you're picking second and Arch Manning's the only good quarterback? Well, you ain't getting him next year. You're going to keep waiting and waiting and waiting for the perfect guy? Come on now.
I promise you this much. Colorado could have had Travis Hunter. They could have had all these other. If they don't have Sanders, they win one game. Again.
Yes.
The quarterback is unquestionably the most important position, not just in the NFL, but in Power 5 college football, in mid-major college football, in D3 college football. And maybe D3, if you have a killer running back, you can get away with it. But you get my point. The quarterback changes the trajectory of everything. And if the Browns feel like Shadeur Sanders can be that player, there is no reason not to take him at number 2. In that initial Field Yates mock draft, which we referenced off the top, it was a 2-round mock draft. He had the Browns taking Shook out of Louisville with the 33rd pick and Carter with the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Shuck.
You know what's funny? In my head, I say it right every time, and then it just comes out wrong.
There's certain names
I
do
know
too.
I know exactly what it is. My bad. Shuck and Oyster, Tyler Shuck, he was the 33rd pick.
Yeah.
If the Browns like Sanders, he should be the pick at 2. If they don't like Sanders, I'm on the Travis Hunter train.
100%.
I don't understand. Abdul Carter is a terrific prospect. He might be a great player. Your pass rush was fine last year and you sucked. You have to do something to fix the offense because you could have 2 great pass rushers, and if you can't score more than 10 points, you're going to lose 17, 16, 15 games next season. But if the Browns, who they're going to work out Sanders on Friday in private, they come out of that meeting.
The pro day's today or tomorrow?
No, so the pro day, there was a whole confusion in the pro day.
Can you clarify that for me?
The Big 12 had a Big 12 pro day.
Okay.
Sanders and Hunter opted not to work out then. They're having private workouts on Friday, and they got pushed back to Friday with teams. The Browns will be there. They'll get their chance to meet with both guys, sit down, talk to them in person. Kevin Stefanski, during his press conference at the NFL owners meeting, was talking about some of the things he likes in those individual workouts, some of the coaching tips. He wants to throw stuff on the fly at them, see how they adjust. So those meetings are going to be crucial. And if the Browns front brass, Stefanski, Berry, Haslam, who I believe will be there, I'm not certain, but I believe will be there for those meetings, if they come out of that meeting saying, yeah, this guy can be a franchise quarterback, and they don't put his name on the card at number 2, it's a mistake in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. I'm going a step further. The Browns need to go all in, and they need to do whatever it takes to get the Giants' 3rd pick, too.
And get Hunter, too?
And get Hunter, too.
Yeah, I know you did.
Whatever it takes. I don't
you
care
were
if you
gonna
have to
say
trade
that,
2
man.
more first-round picks. Do whatever you got to do. Get them together. Because if you have Shadeur and I know this is probably a very slim chance of happening. But if you had Shadeur, but the Browns are a team that's not afraid to take a chance, so let's get crazy. If you have Shadeur and Hunter with Jerry Jeudy, and you go get a stud running back in the 3rd or 4th round, let's go. But this is what turns it around, Mike.
Yes.
And you said, well, if the Browns like him, if they don't like him. There's enough there to like. To me, if they pass on Shadeur Sanders, then Kevin Stefanski did not have enough faith in himself to get maybe whatever it is they see that's not quite good enough out of him. And that's on him. I heard Joel Klatt say, and Joel Klatt did like every Shadeur Sanders game.
He did all
this
those
year.
games, yeah.
He's like, he basically said this is all bullshit. These narratives about him being too cocky and this and that, not good. He said it's ridiculous. Again, it's one man's opinion. He's like, the guy definitely should be drafted in the top 5.
He's Deion's kid. They're all flashy. He probably had a gold chain when he came out of his mother.
And I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't care about it in terms
I don't either.
of a negative thing. It's just so stupid.
But it's not a negative because it's never affected him.
Right.
He's never.
And his teammates love him.
But
No one's
some
ever said
people-
this guy's an asshole. He's a cocky
Right.
son of a, whatever.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
So how do you balance what Klatt said versus what Greg Cosell said, what Sean, because everyone has their own opinion, and we've heard Jason tell us, and Zach Jackson reiterated that he talked to some scouts to have him as a 2nd-round pick.
I don't
Other
care.
guys have him as a top 5 pick. So I'm just saying, when the Browns make this decision, and I'm going to steal Jason's line here.
Yeah.
If their scouts believe he's a top 15 player in this draft, whatever,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
Of course
you take
it's a
him.
no-brainer.
If they don't, then I go with the Hunter route. But
Yeah.
I'm trusting whatever the scouts say in the Browns organization, not what Greg Cosell says, not what Joel Klatt says, not what Sean King says.
Yeah.
The people who are getting paid by
Yeah.
Jimmy Haslam and that organization to determine whether or not he could be a franchise quarterback, if they give me the thumbs up, that pick's coming in 30 seconds when they tell you.
I don't know that they've done a particularly good job to trust them over the last 5 years, but who knows?
Who else are you going to trust?
Well,
in that
you
sense?
got no other choice.
Yeah.
Let's go. I mean, I just don't see how you look at a kid who's prepared for the spotlight more than anybody else, who's a leader, who has a good attitude, who has not been a problem on and off the field, who is highly accurate thrower, who is a smart decision maker. He doesn't throw picks. Like, if the only beef with his game is that he's not a great deep thrower, to me that's not enough to chase me off.
Throw deep balls anyway. Like the majority of his offensive play sheet is intermediate and short range passes.
I just feel like you can get better with footwork and just other things that the coach has got to be able to work with you on. I don't know.
Are you to the point now where you're just like, you know what, bleep it? The only thing that's going to get you excited about the Browns now and for next season is if they take a quarterback high at number 2, and that quarterback's most likely going to be Shadeur because Cam's going to go 1. We know that.
Right. Yeah, probably yes. Now if they did,
are you overreacting right now?
I think he is.
Because I think you're in your emotions a little bit.
I agree.
Sure, yes,
because when you went with the Hunter and Shadeur thing, that's a little fantasy
no,
football.
I hear you, but okay.
So I just want to I want to rein you in a little bit. Here.
All right. So in terms of excitement level, if they drafted Hunter at 2 and then drafted one of these other quarterbacks at 33, I'd still have a level of excitement.
Right.
Sure.
Let's put it in context.
Yeah.
If they go Sanders 2, and then you could pick whatever position at 33, is that a 10 out of 10 on excitement? Just your personal 10 out of 10.
Yes.
If they go Hunter 2 and a quarterback at 33,
I'll still
whatever
be at
name
like
you
an
want.
8.
And then
or
if they
9.
go Carter at 2 and then whoever, you're out. Okay.
0.
Okay.
If Carter, I'm bored, I'm going to sleep. I'm not interested. We're doing a live show that night, I think.
We are.
Is it official?
The draft thing?
We're going to do some sort of live situation.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to make myself available for it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. But if they draft Carter, I'm going to sleep.
You're walking off the set.
Let's end the show right there. What's there to say? Wow, they got a defensive lineman. Very exciting. Browns love taking linemen.
Adam, if they take, dude, at least wait till the end of the second round.
It's not fair to him.
Who, Carter?
Yeah, but it's going to put me to sleep. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but
dude, Carter's a hell of a player.
Is he? Are we sure about that? He's only done it for 1 year. He's got bad feet, and I heard he has a bad attitude. Rumors on the street.
I think every prospect.
The narrative of every prospect can change based off of one report.
Exactly.
Or, by the way, go to every player in this draft, okay, and go on to NFL.com or whatever it is, wherever you want to watch or read your draft stuff. Just go to the negatives.
Yeah.
And just ignore the positive and be like, you know what?
No,
he only got a 17 on the Wonderlic.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Only had 11.5 sacks.
The defensive end can be a dumbass.
He led the country in tackles for loss.
He's awesome, man.
Listen, he's probably going to be a great player.
I'm with
I don't
you.
care. I don't want him. It's no offense to him. Let him go be a pass rusher for the Colts, and he'll get sacks, and they'll win 3 games every year. Good for them. Don't be – the Browns always F it up. Please, don't F it up this time.
They need some juice on offense. Whether it's Hunter or whether it's Sanders.
They got diet vanilla offense right now.
They need some juice. They need some explosive. They need some wow factor, some excitement. A quarterback does that by nature.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to take the quarterback, then get the best playmaker in the draft. And I saw there was some debate back and forth online yesterday of if Hunter was just a receiver, take his defensive skills out of the equation. And some people think he's a better defensive back than a receiver. So take that half out. If he was just a receiver, how would he grade up against some of the other guys? And McShay's a guy I like. Not everyone loves McShay, whatever.
Love Todd.
He has him as a 94 grade as just a receiver, the exact same grade as Garrett Wilson.
I mean, it was a superstar.
So
I
take that.
I think
I take that.
I kind of align with Cosell that I think that it's hard to find a top end corner that can just totally lock down everybody. But I think this kid's so special. Like, what do you have, 13 touchdowns receiving last year, something like that?
And everyone says his best skills is ball skills.
Right. Well, he's not going to get his hands on the ball that many times on defense.
So
for me, if the Browns take him at 2, you have to play him on offense.
That's right.
And
Even if he's like a little better on defense, Like, I just think the amount of impact he has will be diminished because of, like, teams can just throw away from him or he's just not involved, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to score touchdowns on defense.
No, not many. Like you said, if he's a 94 grade on offense and a 97 grade on defense, I'm still playing him as offense as his primary, but I am going to use him a decent amount on defense too. Why would I not take advantage of a guy who could be 2 Pro Bowl level players in one?
Well, he's the number 1 receiver in this draft, and most regard him as the number 1 cornerback in this draft. That's an elite unicorn-like prospect. I know you don't like using the word unicorn.
Well, I'm fine in
but
this
he
case,
is in this
because
case.
It actually applies.
It is appropriate because he's doing something that we had never seen before.
Yeah.
Brother, if they got Travis Hunter and, like, Milrow.
People are going to do backflips.
I would still. I said I'd be an 8 and 9. I'd be almost as excited because I love
it. It just gives Stefanski a lot of options, man, with his offense, and that would be something that would be exciting to watch. I think
it would be. They've got they have to take a quarterback at 2 or Hunter at 2. Anything else is going to be a huge bummer for me. I know there's a segment of our fan base that is old school mentality and they're conservative. And they love drafting linemen, and they're looking at me right now saying, Bull, you're an idiot. This guy's going to be a next great pass rusher. You win with defense. Good for you. How's that working out? You consistently go to the playoffs with a quarterback. That's it. It's that simple. A good to great quarterback gives you a chance to win every year. Defenses ebb and flow based on the year. We see it with every really good defense, up and down. Why? Because every year, when you're on offense and you're relying on a quarterback, that's one player. Yes, the other players around him are important, but the quarterback is worth such a high percentage of that offense. On defense, it's never about one player. As good as Myles Garrett is, he's not moving the needle in terms of wins by himself. Not like a quarterback. The 20th most, the 15th best quarterback. Maybe Baker Mayfield's the 15th best quarterback in the league. He is worth more in terms of wins and losses than Myles Garrett is. There's no comparison who's the better NFL player, Myles Garrett or Baker Mayfield. It's a joke. Myles Garrett's a way better football player. Not even close. Baker Mayfield, who I'm not the biggest fan of, is worth more to Tampa Bay in terms of wins and losses than Myles Garrett is to the Browns. And he's the 13th or 15th or 16th best quarterback, whatever it is.
Denver had the best defense in football this year.
Yeah. They're not going to have it this
year. It
year.
would shock me.
Yes.
Shock me if they were the best defense in football next year. And you made a point about Shadeur, I think before the show. I'm not sure you actually mentioned it here.
Yeah.
If they take Shadeur and he's not good and they're in the market for a quarterback again next year, well, it'll be with a new head coach and a new general manager because I understand some of the things that Jimmy Haslam said earlier this week and how it may give us some sense of security for those two. But if they suck in there in the draft looking for a quarterback again in 2026, it'll be with a new regime, and a new regime will want to cut ties with everything in the past and move on. The downside of missing on a quarterback that high 10, 15 years ago before the new draft scale was crippling. We've seen example after example, Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, the most recent, where a team took a guy in the top 10 and drafted a guy number 1 overall the next year. You can get out of that contract. It's not that debilitating. And the Browns know about
debilitating at all.
The Browns know about debilitating quarterback contracts. They're dealing with one right now.
Yeah.
Taking Shadeur at the 2nd pick. If it doesn't pan out, so be it. Move on and find a new guy next year.
Yeah.
That is marbles compared to the quarterback situation and
that's right.
cap disaster because of it. They've been in the last 4 or 5 years.
And as long as you see there's a chance, like I think most people, even when you talk about Greg Cosell, who had him a little lower or whatever, all those guys will tell you, I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the league. I think there's some concern. Can he be that top level?
The ceiling's the question.
And if he's not, then eventually you'd have to make a decision like you did with Baker Mayfield. And that's a unique circumstance. But, man, I'd rather get myself a good quarterback than a great defensive lineman.
One last point on that. Or how many points more? But Bo Nix had the exact same questions last year. It was, Bo Nix played 3,000 college games. Dustin, did you ever call a Bo Nix game?
I did not, actually.
Which is shocking.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
But because he was at Auburn and, of course, Oregon.
And then Oregon,
Somewhere else, too?
No, just Auburn and Oregon,
Yeah.
And he played, I think, literally 65 college games. He
broke
the record.
Of football, man.
And it was, we know Bo Nix. He might be good. He has a chance to be a solid quarterback, but how much better can he get because he's 25 or 20, whatever it is, however old he was. Do we know his ceiling? Well, Denver took him with the 12th pick last year.
He's great.
A lot of people consider that a reach at the 12th pick. Turned out to a pretty damn good rookie season. And Denver, will they win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix? Who the hell knows? But they are certainly in a spot. that is much more advantageous to chasing playoff wins and championships and division titles than they were without Bo Nix and that draft pick last season. So take a swing.
Yeah,
it's got to be an offensive player, though.
That's it. I mean, I understand the general philosophy. Thank you, Anthony, of taking the best player available. And in general, I agree with that philosophy. But quarterback skews the whole thing. And the only other thing that skews the whole thing is a player that can play both, because that never happens. So the guy may be the best prospect in the draft, probably is, and he plays both. So if for some reason you just can't see it with Shadeur Sanders, to me it's an absolute no-brainer to take Travis Hunter. I just hope the Browns see it that way. We'll find out in 22 days.